Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about something that I'm very excited to chat about. It's holding two different emotions at once, whether it be feeling happy and sad, feeling grief and joy. I think this is, we all experience this, and as we grow, we experience this, and there's just so much to unpack here. So I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a real paradox, I think, of being a human, that we can feel a sense of grief and also find things to laugh about. We can find joy or lightness in those moments. And I think in times where we're really struggling and feeling a lot of uncertainty, we can still take a step forward and still sort of make things happen for ourselves. So the emotions sort of feel conflicting, but we can hold them both at the same time. It doesn't have to be either or.
And one of the things I love to do is look at patterns in nature and see how they connect to my own life. Because at the end of the day, I think nature can teach us a lot about ourselves and the way we interact with the universe. And speaking of the universe, if you think about it, in the vastness of space, there's an almost probably infinite amount of data, energy, and we are just nothing. We are literally, as I'm sure you've heard in many different
On the pale blue
TV
dot.
shows and podcasts and books, we are insignificant. At the same time, our lives actually do have deep meaning, because without them, that vast insignificance couldn't be. Now, these are two
And I think when you say insignificant too, you're talking about literally the vast size of even our universe,
scale.
our solar system, things like that too.
Just
like that
anything. I mean,
we're just one human on this tiny little dot that's in this solar system, in this, universe, all that kind of, like, in that way, you could say we're sort of insignificant. You could argue it, I know, a lot of different ways.
The reason I'm bringing it up is the way you frame it changes the way that you perceive it. So depending on your mood, there may be days where you feel like you are insignificant.
Totally insignificant.
And then there are other days, maybe you're watching a sunset or you're just doing something with someone you love and you can feel
so connected.
Yeah. This is a core principle to the way the universe operates. So going into like a more practical way of implementing it, it's the recognition that there's nothing wrong with you if you feel this way, because this is kind of just the way we interact with the world, the way we make sense of things. Yeah, they both are actually inherently true.
Yeah.
And it's very, a modern world teaches us that there's a right or wrong answer to many things. And there is no, there's a black or white. There's the right way to be, the right way to excel at your job, the right way to be a good parent. This is all kind of interconnected, because there is no right way, just like there is no truth in the paradox that we're talking about being insignificant.
It can be really disorienting too, to feel even two emotions at once, to feel, say, jealousy and then also be like really happy for someone too at the same time. Like things like that can be kind of frustrating. And we really live in a place of binaries and wanting it to be either one thing or the other, when really so much of it is a mix of the two. And that's just the way our lives are.
Yeah, it's a yin and yang. And for me, especially, like starting a business or doing something new or doing something scary, there's always the excitement of the change. And then there's the fear of the leaving behind. Yeah. Right. When we moved, there was a lot of that for me, of just leaving, change. I think the transience of life and how things are constantly moving and changing is one of the only actual truths of life. Everything is always moving and everything's always changing. So this was, when we go through something big, you can be excited for what's coming, but at the same time, you can be sad about what's leaving, and you can hold those both at the same time.
And sort of excitement and also anxiety, like all the many things at once.
Mm-hmm.
A really kind of a smaller scale example for me is when we go on vacation. A lot of time, I don't always adjust to where we are right away, like especially if there's any sort of time difference. And I feel sometimes anxiety or just discomfort. I'm out of my comfort zone, which all these things are good things. And I'm so grateful we get to travel. Like, we're so lucky to get to do these things. And so there's that feeling of like, oh, I should be feeling grateful. I shouldn't be feeling discomfort.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be feeling those two things at once. But really kind of giving myself the space to process them both and feel anxious at times and feel grateful and realize like that's just part of the rhythm, and then kind of balances out for me, has been the biggest thing. Where when I get really frustrated with myself for feeling anxious, that's when I get the most tripped up over it.
Yeah, and another application is like gratitude. You'll hear a lot of people. I love gratitude and gratitude practices, and they're super important for perspective. But at the same time, sometimes you can understand and be grateful for what you have, but still feel empty or still feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a sense of guilt associated with knowing that you have, like, for example, we live in this, as humans, we live in one of the most prolific times, probably it is the most prolific time to be a human. We have access to all these different things, majority of people, not everyone all over the world, but in a way that most generations didn't have access to. But even with that objective truth about what we have access to, that doesn't mean we're all happier. That doesn't mean we're all, and
Perhaps
sometimes
less
when
so.
you frame it from that perspective, it can be depressing. It's like, well, we have all this stuff. Why are we not happier? But again, if you take a step back and recognize that, like, hey, it's a perspective thing. Recognize that, hey, I have access to all this, so I'm grateful for it. But I'm also allowed to have some other emotion, because those emotions are actually what are going to pull you in the direction you want to move in life. Sometimes those negative emotions drive us.
Yes. And I think it's so human. We don't want to feel yucky emotions. We don't want to feel, quote unquote negative emotions. They don't always feel great. They're uncomfortable. We want to feel this like happier or more neutral place. But part of going after anything and even just being human every day is feeling these emotions. So understanding that it's part of the journey, it's part of the process. We don't have to choose. And it's okay and normal that, especially in times of great transition, of big upheaval in your life, big change, you're going to be feeling these things stronger than ever. And to kind of name it and be aware of it is really something cool you can do for yourself, to be like, okay, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling excitement. Like, what is the kind of variety of things I'm feeling right now? And how can I give myself even a little bit of grace to feel those? Because it's just part of this beautiful thing called being human.
And this is where meditation can be super powerful. A lot of modern meditation is positioned as a way to be calmer. And that is one byproduct of it. But really at its core, meditation is about noticing what's going on inside of you. And it's about not judging what's going on inside of you. And sometimes we don't even know that we're holding two emotions at once.
Yes. Yeah.
Being able to be present with that realization and be okay with it and accept it is super important.
Is hard.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you start, like, you just judge yourself less. Like, oh, I can be excited about the future and excited about the things that I'm about to try, but also nervous that I might fail at them. Right? I can hold those two at once.
It doesn't make me a wuss. That just makes me human.
Yeah, and there's like this movement in the modern world where confidence and positivity, and those are all wonderful character traits, and it's good to have confidence and positivity, but at the same time, you're never going to be 100% certain, and you're never going to be 100% positive, and it's okay. And you want to have space for that too. That's just super important to make sure that you're not burning yourself out by trying to stay positive, and you're letting the fear and doubt kind of be there. They're present. They're there. Don't push them too hard away.
I love that you brought up meditation too, because I do feel like such a big part of holding two things at once is really being present with it, and kind of that's where you are able to get to a place of allowance. And another thing that will help besides meditation is just kind of being thoughtful, introspective, and here are a few ways you can do, a few questions for you to do that. So you could journal, you could just listen to these now and think of the answers. So first question is, what are two things that you are holding right now? Where are you trying to force clarity or a right feeling instead of letting both exist? And what can you offer yourself, or where can you offer yourself compassion for both sides of this moment? And then just a few gentle reminders for you. You can be uncertain and still move forward. You can be overwhelmed and still worthy of rest. You can feel gratitude and discomfort at the same time. And you can carry grief and still find joy and things to laugh at.
As a matter of fact, I would even say that, like, not that you must in many ways.
You will, probably.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, like, not
Yeah.
not to say that you have to, but I'm saying more is expect that.
Yeah.
Don't expect the one-sided perfection that society pushes against, or tells you that you're going to feel happy if you do this. You should feel happy. You should feel grateful.
Yeah.
You should feel, you are, or whatever the story the person tells you, or even you tell yourself. Just recognize it is human to hold multiple perspectives at the same time, and to give a bigger picture of your life. It's part of the joy of being human, because sometimes holding those two thoughts together are what, again, help you make decisions and drive you in directions you never would have otherwise.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. It makes you aware that, like, oh, maybe this thing is causing me a lot of anxiety, and why? Like, is it something that I need to be more aware of, or more, I need to slow down? Maybe I need a little more rest, kind of like balancing out the nervous system. What is it that you need to maybe feel slightly better? So
yes.
those questions can come up too. So really, this is just the magic of being human, and you're allowed to feel it all.
Yeah, sometimes we do these episodes, and I as we end them, I realize it's good to talk about on my own end because I learn a lot. Some things that I need to work on for
these are
myself.
always reminders for us.
For sure. So if you feel like you know someone that feels the same way, feel free to share. And you can go join our newsletter online in order to get updates as to when we're releasing new episodes of this podcast.